This ball is crushed.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Son of a Pitch, the baseball show by the fans, for the fans. Let's dive right into it with the baseball news of the week. First off, San Diego Padres' Manny Machado was the first player ejected because of the pitching clock.
Even full count breaking balls at times.
That's a strikeout. There's a violation. Ron Culpa just rung up Manny Machado. We're on the clock here this year, and that's an automatic strike, and it happens to be strike three. Here comes Bob Melvin. Ron Culpa, the crew chief, behind the plate. And somebody's been ejected. Looks like Machado.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Machado being the first one ejected, not surprising, knowing some of the off-the-field issues. He's a very passionate player. He wasn't ejected because of the pitching clock. He was assessed a strike because of the pitching clock and freaked the hell out at a referee and was kicked off the field. Pretty funny. Speaking of something that's, it's funny in hindsight, but not so much, in the moment. Anthony Rendon suspended 4 games for an altercation with a fan. A fan was talking crap to him. He grabbed the fan's shirt, took a swipe at him. Hey Anthony, if you want to start hitting things, let's start with baseballs. Then we can move on to random Oakland A's fans. How about that? Finally, let's talk about the big sweep of the week. My hometown Milwaukee Brewers sweeping the New York Mets 3-0 in games that were essentially runaways for the first 2 for the Milwaukee Brewers, shutting them out.
In franchise history, full count, runners go, Diorme to left, Yelich is there, and that's the ball game. And little jam shot pop up, Terang is there, and how about it? The Brewers win 9-0. 19 consecutive scoreless innings by the pitching staff, and the Brewers outscoring the Mets in this series 19-0.
And then 7-6 New York Mets, ending with a Garrett Mitchell walk-off homer. It was absolutely wonderful.
6.
Garrett Mitchell will be the first man up against Ottavino.
And the pitch.
Mitchell, deep right. Forget about it.
He just hit a walk-off out of here, and the Brewers have swept the New York Mets.
2 homers last night and 1 this afternoon. What a series for the Brew Crew and the Big Fly.
You have to wonder, if Corbin Burnes can fix how shaky his pitching has been so far this season, are the Brewers looking like more than a playoff contender and more into a playoff lock? I'm not sure. I'm really hoping so. This tonight, Friday, they start a 3-game divisional series against the St. Louis Cardinals, led by, obviously, Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. And it'll be interesting to see how the Brewers do it in this divisional challenge. Big games, and we'll see if they step up. All right, now for your Sunday night baseball preview. Sunday night on ESPN, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. San Diego Padres, Atlanta Braves, Truist Park. It's going to be really interesting to see. Yesterday, Thursday, the San Diego Padres were unfortunately beaten by the Atlanta Braves in a really close game, ending with another walk-off homer. I'm not sure who's going to win this one, just because it's looking like the Braves won't be playing Spencer Strider, and I think his pitching has been really detrimental to San Diego, their batters. Obviously, San Diego's going to be struggling for a while without having Tatis, so this is going to be one of those games without him. I don't know yet who to say to win this one. I'm thinking the Braves, just because they look like a more cohesive team than the Padres. As when we get into the standings of this week, we're going to see that the Padres are, they're floundering a little bit without Tatis, and I think when he comes back, they're going to start capturing some of the momentum we've predicted for them this season. All right, so now it's time for the question of the week. And this week, hold on, let me pull up my question. Hayden Kim asks, how does the lack of consistency across ballpark designs around the league lead to competitive advantage and disadvantage? Hayden, thanks for asking, buddy. So, for those of you who don't know, in the MLB, there's no standard size required for a ballpark. That's extremely different than the NBA, NHL, and NFL, where fields all have to follow specific dimensions. Now, we know that in those 3 leagues, of course you have teams who, will build things to give them a competitive advantage. The biggest example, obviously, is Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins, who only the home team receives the shade. And in those hot summer Miami heat, it provides a big advantage to the Dolphins. In the MLB, however, it's way easier to hit homers in some places than others, so we're going to break these down. First off, the hardest park to hit a home run at. Comerica Park, home of the Detroit Tigers, has a huge sign 420 feet deep into center field, which if you're hitting those big center field home runs, the odds of them are really going to go down at Comerica Park because you're going to bounce off that sign and hit into the glove of an outfielder. Then you have Chase Field, just based on its side, and Kauffman Park, Chase Field being in Arizona, home of the Diamondbacks, Kauffman Park in Missouri, home of the Kansas City Royals. Just because of the outfield lines, stuff like that, it's just hard to hit a home run because of how massive they are. Finally, you have Tropicana Park, home of the so far undefeated Tampa Bay Rays, and that's because Tropicana Park is a poverty field with catwalks all around the top. And so often, people will hit a homer and it will bounce off a catwalk. And why there's catwalks in a baseball stadium makes no sense to me, but they bounce off and again into the glove of the outfielder. And that's why Comerica Park, Chase Field, Kauffman Park, and Tropicana Field are the 4 most difficult parks to hit a home run in the MLB. Now, there's one park that's very easy to hit home run-ins, and that's Coors Field in Colorado. Time to get, a little sciencey with you. Colorado has dry, windy, and thin air. Because of that, balls stay up in the air longer, just because, the dry air, having less humidity makes them travel further. We don't need to get too much into the physics of it, but same with Elevation Field at Mile High Stadium where the Denver Broncos play. Kicking field goals is easier there. Hitting a homer in Colorado is easier there. And, we all remember the home run derbies in Colorado and how amazing they are.
This guy is a budding superstar. It's that simple. This ball's hit a long way again. That's number 30. Where will this one land? Concourse again. Are you kidding me? Those aren't just home runs. Those are moonshots.
Now, we've talked about the home runs. Let's talk about a few other competitive advantages and just fun facts. For example, there's only one ballpark I'd feel safe spending the night in, and that's Rogers Centre in Toronto because it has a hotel inside the ballpark, and you can step out of your hotel room and be in a suite in Rogers Centre. It's a poverty stadium. But new bucket list item. Let me go to a Brewers, Blue Jays game in Toronto and spend the night there. That sounds amazing. And now let's talk about the smallest ballpark. We got the Oakland Coliseum.
Gabe, gotta interrupt you there. It's not called Oakland Coliseum anymore.
What? It's always been Oakland Coliseum.
No, it's called Ring Central Ballpark now.
Since when?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right. As one of my assistants, Mark, has just told me, it's no longer called Oakland Coliseum, despite the fact that that's been its name for 80 years. It's Ring Central Coliseum. When did this get changed? All right, it's fine. Not going to get caught up in the naming of a place that's only going to exist for 2 more years until they move to Nevada. But okay, I guess it's no longer Oakland Coliseum. Ring Central Stadium in Oakland, California is the smallest ballpark in the MLB. It's also, quite literally, the crappiest ballpark in the MLB, in the sense that pipes full of raw sewage have been known quite frequently to overload into offices and locker rooms, which I guess is a competitive advantage for the A's because in 2013, they infected the entirety of the Los Angeles Angels with E. coli. And nothing says an advantage like biological warfare. Now, we've talked about the competitive advantages and disadvantages for the players. But what about for the fans? I think the best food you're going to find is at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. They've got a crazy amount of Asian food. They've got some really cool fusion stuff. It's just a really cool place to catch a game and eat good food. But like I said, the Seattle Mariners, they're playing a little bit strangely right now, so I'd really like to see them pick it up and be that playoff team. But for best overall atmosphere in the MLB, I'm going to go with American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know this is going to seem like a biased take, and maybe it is, but what other park has $6 tickets, $1 draft beer? What other park has a slide that the mascot goes down whenever there's a homer or a win, and that kids can slide down on their birthdays? I did it for like 7 birthdays in a row. I've got a huge emotional connection to this. And then finally, the sausage race. In the 7th inning stretch, some sausages run wild through Milwaukee, Wisconsin, like spring break in Miami, and it's absolutely wonderful. And that joke, when I wrote it, it made me cackle. So yeah, I'm biased. Deal with it. I think American Family Field, also known as Miller Park, rest in peace, is the best atmosphere in the MLB. All right, so now we've got our standings for the week. Obviously, this doesn't matter right now. Everyone is still in it. Everyone still has a chance at being in the playoffs. It's 6 to 7 games for each team. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. The only team who's undefeated is the Tampa Bay Rays, and that brings us into the AL East. AL East, we have the Tampa Bay Rays at 1, New York Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox. For the AL Central, Cleveland Guardians at 1, followed by the Minnesota Twins, Chicago White Sox, Detroit Tigers, and Kansas City Royals. AL West, Texas Rangers at 1, you'll love to see it. Then we've got the Los Angeles Angels, Houston Astros, Oakland Athletics, and Seattle Mariners. Now we're going to switch it on over to the NL National League, where you've got at the NL East, number 1, Atlanta Braves, number 2, New York Mets, number 3, Miami Marlins, 4th, Philadelphia Phillies, and then the Washington Nationals. Let's go over to the NL Central, and this does my heart a lot of joy to say. At number 1, you have the Milwaukee Brewers, and they are currently the number 2 team in the MLB, and that's not going to last for long, but damn it, I'm going to enjoy it while it happens. Then you got the Pittsburgh Pirates, Cincinnati Reds, Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals. In the NL West, you have the Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, San Diego Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Colorado Rockies. And that is all for your standings. We'll update them again next week, and we'll see as the games keep mattering more how the standings are going to shift up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time on Son of a Pitch.